Hello viewers and friends, horror fans and slasher fans. Andrew back at you once again for another slasher review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 1981 Tobe Hooper slasher The Funhouse. Now, I've actually owned this movie for a very long time and I've only just checked it out over the past couple of days, and it's taken me ages to finally watch it. But it's been a slasher movie I've always been interested in watching, but just sort of completely forgot about. I think that's partly because no one ever really talks about this movie, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to get a review uploaded. But I decided it's high time that I sit down and check this movie out, especially for this Halloween month. So got around to watching it finally and wanted to review it. So like all my reviews, I'm going to give a quick rundown of the plot first, and then end the video with my opinions on the overall film. So The Funhouse, not a lot in terms of plot. It centres around four teenagers: Amy, who's the main character, her boyfriend Buzz, Amy's best friend Liz, and her boyfriend Richie. So they're essentially the four main characters. Amy's little brother Joey also plays a role. But yeah, the four teenagers are sort of the main characters throughout this film. So it centres around them going off to a late night carnival, and essentially, they do carnival things while they're there. Obviously, they check out different attractions, go on the rides, and the night's about to wrap up for them, and they come across the Funhouse, which is the last sort of attraction they come across. Richie, one of the characters, decides to suggest everyone hide out in the Funhouse and stay there overnight. The other three characters agree to that, so they get on the Funhouse ride and jump off and hide out and essentially stay there overnight. Pretty big mistake for them, because that's when they slowly start getting killed off one by this mad freak lunatic in a Frankenstein mask and costume. So the first half of this movie is essentially more of the sort of character development and story development of the film. The first half just focuses on the teenagers and the fun they get up to in the carnival. Then the second half of the film is when the slasher elements start kicking in and they start getting killed off one by one while they're staying overnight in the Funhouse. So I definitely preferred the first half of this movie easily over the second half. Now, I absolutely loved the opening scene. It paid homage to both Halloween and Psycho. Joey, Amy's younger brother, was awesome, and I wish he sort of played a more vital role in this movie, especially when the slasher elements started to kick in. But yeah, Joey was awesome. He was a really horror-obsessed kid, and the film essentially opens with a pan around his bedroom. He's got all like horror masks and everything. He puts a mask on and he decides to play a prank on his sister Amy, which is essentially a scene from Psycho. I'm sure everyone can work out what the scene is, but I absolutely loved the opening. It was awesome, and I loved it during the carnival, or the initial carnival scenes. Amazing setting and great atmosphere. It really pulled off the carnival setting and vibe really, really well. Unfortunately, when the slasher elements started kicking in, or the second half of the movie kicked in, it really went downhill, which was really unfortunate, because I was halfway into it and I was thinking, this movie is fucking awesome. Then when the slasher elements kicked in, it really went downhill, which sucked. But I finished the movie, and I really wanted to love this movie, but unfortunately it just wasn't the case. The slasher portion of this movie was really, really bland, boring, and pretty slow. Obviously, with the four main characters, there's not going to be a high body count, which I think really let the film down. If there had been more characters involved, which again kind of would have been hard for the storyline they were going to, but I kind of felt the slasher portion of this movie definitely needed a higher body count, and it just needed better kills. The kills were very, very forgettable. In fact, I've forgotten a couple of them already. But yeah, pretty mediocre. The killer was pretty cool. He was like a freak, a circus freak dressed up in a Frankenstein costume, which in itself was pretty cool. But as an overall killer, he wasn't really that of a standout, really. Nothing too amazing. The lead character, Amy, she was pretty good, and all the other characters were pretty enjoyable. For a movie from 1981, I feel it still holds up really, really well. It doesn't feel dated at all. And in terms of the slasher, I thought the four main characters were really, really good. They were all likeable. But yeah, just unfortunately, the slasher aspect definitely let this film down. So for an overall score, I think I'm going to sit in the middle of the fence with this one and give it a 2.5 out of 5. I'm not going to highly recommend it, but I'm not going to discourage anyone from checking it out. I think if you're a big fan of carnival or circus themed horror movies, you're definitely going to get more out of this movie than someone who isn't. But yeah, I really wanted to love the movie, but unfortunately the slasher part of this movie definitely let it down. So that's been my review for the Funhouse. 2.5 out of 5. Pretty middle of the fence with this one. I'm definitely going to give it another rewatch because I'm hoping over time the movie will grow on me more and more, or at least I'm really hoping so. So if anyone's seen this, I'm definitely interested to hear other people's opinions on the movie, what you thought of it. And yeah, that's been my review, so I hope everyone's enjoyed it, and thanks a lot for watching.